right, here's some more. So what we're going to do now is we're going to write equations of circles given different information. So if you look at this first one, it's telling us that it has a center of 7, -12. So that is going to be h and k. And it passes through a point, which is going to be x, y. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write down my formula so you can just see what we have. So the formula is x minus h, all of it squared, plus y minus k, all of it squared, is equal to r squared. We already have our h and k that I can plug in here and here, but the problem is we don't have r. So actually, if you look, we just have everything we need here. There's a couple different ways we can do this. We could use the formula. We could just plug in -3 for x. We could plug in -7 for the h squared, plus I'm going to plug in 5 for the y, minus -12 for the k, square it, and that's equal to r squared. So if you see, we have all numbers here we can just solve for r squared. I want to point out too, this is actually the same as the distance formula. So our distance formula is the square root of x minus x, 2 minus 1, squared, plus y2 minus y1 squared. So if I was looking for the distance from, say the center to a point on the circle, so here's our circle, here's the center, here's a point, we could get the radius by doing the distance formula. If you were to plug in numbers for that, you've got an x that's -3, you've got another x value that's 7, plus you've got a y value that's 5, minus another y value that's -12. Do you guys see how that's the exact same thing? I think it's kind of cool. So you've got the circle formula is the same as the distance formula, which essentially is the same as Pythagorean theorem. Is your mind blown or what? All right, let's just go back and continue. So my point is you can do any of these formulas. If you really want to get a piece of graph paper out and graph those 2 points, you could do a squared plus b squared equals c squared. The numbers could get a little ugly though. All right, so -3 minus 7 is -10, all of it squared, plus, that becomes a plus here. 5 plus 12 is 17, all of it squared, is equal to r squared. So now I've got 100 plus 289 is r squared. 389 is r squared. And finally, take the square root, which if you did all this work, you're going to get the same thing. So the radius is equal to, and I'm going to leave it like this. I'm going to check to see if it's a perfect square. So the square root of 389 is not. It's just radical 389. So we're going to leave it like that. I still need to go back now and write the equation of a formula. So my formula is x minus h, which is 7, all of it squared, plus y minus -12, which is going to become a plus, all of it squared, equals, remember it's r squared, so I've got radical 389 is r, but then I'm going to square it. So do you see that that radical and that 2 are just going to cancel each other out, and you're left with x minus 7 squared plus y plus 12 squared is equal to 389. And there's our formula. Let's try another one. This time, I'm telling you I want the equation of a circle, but I'm telling you that the endpoints of the diameter are at these 2 points. So essentially I'm giving you 2 x, y points. Let's just take a look at that really quick and see what that might look like. So here's a circle. Remember, the diameter travels through, or cuts through the center. So I'm telling you one of the ordered pairs is -17,1 and the other one is at 5,7. The center is in between those 2 points. So we need to pull up another old formula that maybe you haven't used for a while, and that's the midpoint formula. So maybe that kind of scares you a little bit, but it's really an easy formula. If you think of it like this, the x is going to be in the middle of these 2 x's. How do we find the middle? We find the average. You add them up and you divide by 2. Then we're going to have to figure out where the middle of the y values are. So we're going to add the y's, and we're going to divide by 2. And that's going to give us our center. So if you want to have the midpoint formula written down, you will have to remember that, but it's x plus x divided by 2, y plus y divided by 2. Usually you see like an x1, x2, y1, y2. But if you want to write the formula down, there it is. Now we just need to simplify this. So this is negative 12 over 2, which is negative 6, 8 over 2, which is 4, and there's my center. So now this problem is really the exact same problem we just did. So it's going to be up to you. Do you like this better? Do you like the distance formula? Do you want to go get graph paper and do Pythagorean theorem? Whatever makes you happy. As long as you're not cheating, I'm happy. So I'm going to do this formula just because it'll get us used to using the circle formula. So again, I've got x minus h all of it squared plus y minus k all of it squared is equal to r squared. And I'm going to plug in what I know. I'm going to use 5, 7 just because those numbers don't look quite as scary as negative 17, 1. Either one should work, will work. All right, so my x value is 5 minus my h value is negative 6. So that's really just a plus there. My y value is 7 minus my k value is 4. Squared is equal to r squared. And now we just need to do the work. So really this is 5 plus 6 is 11. 7 minus 4 is 3 equals r squared. 121 plus 9 is r squared. So that gives us 130 is r squared. Square root to figure out what r is. R is the square root of 130. Really doesn't look like a 130 there. And now you just have to plug it back into the formula. So our formula is x minus, the h value is 6, so you can just make that a plus right away if you want. Y minus 4, all of it squared, equals r squared. The simplified form of this is x plus 6 squared plus y minus 4 squared is equal to 130. Again, there's a lot more you can do. If you wanted to find the distance of the whole diameter and you want the radius, you would just have to divide that in half. So lots of different things you could do to make this work, but I like to revert back to that formula. All right, let's try one more. Last one here says a cell phone tower service has a 10-mile radius. So that's kind of where our circle is going to come in because we've got a 10-mile radius. You get a flat tire 4 miles east and 9 miles north of the tower. Are you in the tower's range? All right, I'm going to draw a circle here, or try to. All right, so my circle looks a little bit like an egg, but whatever. Okay, so here, the center is going to be the cell phone tower. And the radius, in any direction, is going to be 10. So in any direction is 10. It's saying you get a flat tire 4 miles east. So think about directions here. We've got north, south, west, and east. So I went 4 miles east. Actually, that would be 10. So I'm just going to go over 4 miles here. There's 4 miles right there. And 9 miles north. So I didn't do a very good job drawing that picture. But so it's 4 miles east of the tower, 9 miles north of the tower. We do know that this radius is 10. So the question that I'm asking here is, am I in this tower's range? So, I made this picture look nice, but essentially I went 4 miles east, I went 9 miles north. I want to know if this is the right triangle here. Sorry about that. I want to know what this distance is. If that distance is less than 10, then I will have cell phone service. If it's more than 10, then that means that I'm outside of that triangle, because we know that these numbers don't necessarily make a right triangle. So I need to figure out what that number is. So this is set up to be a nice right triangle, so I'm just going to go ahead and do Pythagorean theorem. So we've got 4 squared plus 9 squared is equal to, we'll just call it c squared. So I've got 16 plus 81 is equal to c squared. 16 plus 81 is 97. Square root that. And some of you guys probably can already tell that that is less than 10, but if you're not sure, just check it out. So we've got 9.8. So it's about 9.8, which is less than 10. So the question is, are you in the towers range? Yes. 9.8 is less than 10, so we're still in the cell phone towers range. Yay, we can make a phone call. All right, what I want you guys to do now is to please go try the check for understanding on Buzz. There's not very many questions, just try it just to kind of see if you've got this concept down, and then when I see you in class, we'll have some more problems to work on, and then I can help you answer any questions you guys had on these notes. So I will see you guys in class. Bye-bye.